Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome if you're new here. So today I want to provide you with some updates about the Cassie Sheetz case. There's been some developments in this case and I received some questions, so I figured I would do a follow-up video. And if you don't know who Cassie Sheetz is or her story, I recommend you go ahead and watch my first video about this case, where we delve into what happened and possible theories, but I'll provide a quick overview of the case and what happened here. So Cassie Sheetz, a 24-year-old woman, disappeared on Thursday, March 11, 2021, near Spruce Knob in Pendleton County, West Virginia. Cassie supposedly disappeared after she went hiking with two male friends, Sager and James Brill. In my previous video, I didn't say the men's last names since law enforcement has yet to release who Cassie was with that day. However, after speaking with family members, it's clear that this is who Cassie was with. According to Grant and James, the group of hikers became separated from each other at some point during the night, and while the two men were able to find their way out of the trail and locate one another, Cassie was not. Now, almost 2 weeks later, Cassie is still missing, and we still have no answers as to where she is or what happened. However, I do have more details that might give us more insight into what potentially happened. As always, any theories presented are based on my own opinion and speculation. Something I'd like to highlight is the weather conditions surrounding the day that Cassie disappeared. The day prior to the hike, it's reported that it was cold and it even snowed in some parts of West Virginia. There was also freezing rain the 2 nights following Cassie's disappearance, along with high winds. Keep in mind that Spruce Knob, where the trio were allegedly hiking, is the highest point in the state, and that leads me to question if the group really had set out to go hiking that day, especially without the proper gear and preparation. And if they had, would they have truly stayed on the mountain for the whole day, like the men alleged, without flashlights and other equipment for nighttime hiking? Further, if the trio truly were hiking, it's hard for me to believe that they would split up, since most hikers don't wander off from their groups during nighttime hikes. Now, if you add in the element of bad weather, it certainly doesn't make sense to split up or to be on the trail the whole day in the first place. So the weather conditions lead me to question the whole story about going hiking in the first place. The next point I'd like to discuss is, according to the men's story, Grant supposedly went back into the woods to search for Cassie for hours after James claimed that she disappeared after he had tripped, and it's believed that he later emerged from the woods when police and emergency personnel had arrived. However, according to a hiker on Spruce Mountain that day, an injured man was spotted hiking down the mountain. The man avoided making eye contact with the hiker and later allegedly told a forestry agent that he was simply trying to make his way back into town because he left his vehicle up on the mountain. Not too long later, it's believed that police were informed of this man and that he was picked up, given medical attention, and then questioned. Now, I believe that this man that was spotted was Grant, since he was the one who allegedly had gone back into this woods to search for Cassie. But if this is true, why would he not flag down the hiker or the forestry agent to alert them of who he is and alert them that his friend is missing? It doesn't make any sense if he's telling the truth that he was searching for Cassie. He seemed to want to avoid the situation and get away from the area altogether. His nonchalant attitude makes me question whether he really did go back on the trail to search for Cassie like he claimed, or if it was some sort of exit plan, knowing that his sole intention was to try to make it off of Spruce Mountain. The next point I'd like to address is the car. So it's alleged that Grant made it back to the car and broke the rear window to get in because he was cold and wet. Grant allegedly didn't have the keys since they were with Cassie because they were supposedly driving in her vehicle. Like I mentioned in my previous video, however, wouldn't it be easier to break the side window or the passenger window and unlock the car that way instead of climbing in through the trunk or through the rear? I have some updates regarding the car's current whereabouts. The car, a light-colored SUV, was impounded, and somehow Grant was able to pick it up from the impound lot and was seen driving the vehicle in front row. Obviously, this raises some questions. If the keys were with Cassie and she's still missing, how was Grant able to pick up the car? It's confirmed that there were an extra set of keys to the car, and that could be how Grant was able to get the vehicle. However, I wonder how he managed to get a hold of this extra set of keys. Could it be possible that Cassie had given Grant these keys, or that she left them at his residence? I think that's possible, yes. However, it could also be possible that Grant had these keys all along and claims that it's just an extra set. By claiming that Cassie had the keys, Grant has an explanation for the broken rear window, since he had to break it to enter the car. The men also have an explanation for not driving away from the area to call for help or get help once they realized that Cassie was missing. Instead, they had no choice but to sit and wait for hours, like James allegedly did, or to re-enter and search the trail, like Grant allegedly did. Like I said, it's also possible that Cassie could have potentially left a key with Grant or at his residence. However, even if he did have a spare key, it strikes me as odd that he would go retrieve the car from the lot, especially without offering to let Cassie's family see the car. Knowing that Cassie's still missing, it makes sense to allow her family to inspect the car or to have the car, even if Grant regularly used the car for some reason or if the car was shared. According to Cassie's sister, the car is currently missing and nowhere to be seen. Something else I want to clarify is that Cassie and Grant were not dating at the time of her disappearance. I've seen this rumor floating around and have had it pointed out to me by people that knew Cassie or her friends. And although the two have dated in the past, they were not dating at the time of her disappearance, according to her sister. However, Grant and Cassie allegedly do have a rough past. It's believed that Cassie did feel threatened by Grant at some points throughout their relationships. I've seen her friends indicate that he threatened to take her life several times within the past month alone. I mentioned in my last video that Cassie pled guilty to opioid charges. To reiterate, she was sentenced to 2 years of prison time and 3 years of probation. I also mentioned that Grant and James may also have previous records, and I would like to discuss a recent development regarding Grant. So previously in 2018, Grant was sentenced to 21 months of incarceration for unlawful possession of a firearm, possession of an unlawful firearm, and for manufacturing meth. The final update is that on March 20th, Grant was arrested for drug possession in Virginia. And from what I understand, he was brought back to West Virginia and is currently in the West Virginia Division of Corrections. Before police could question him regarding Cassie's disappearance for a second time, however, he hired a lawyer. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that hiring a lawyer automatically means you're guilty. I completely understand why someone would hire a lawyer. However, I still believe that you should cooperate with an investigation and with law enforcement, especially if you have nothing to hide. Instead, though, Grant is now refusing to take a polygraph, and I don't know if he's cooperating otherwise with police. We do know that James did take a polygraph, though, and passed. Regardless, polygraphs or lie detector tests are commonly unreliable and are rarely admissible in court due to their unreliability. Like I mentioned in my previous video, police are no longer searching the Spruce Knob area, which strikes many as odd because their search only lasted a few days, and this could mean several things. It is an open investigation, so we don't know all that police have. However, her family is still searching that area. Cassie is still missing. She is 5'3" and weighs approximately 120 to 130 pounds. She has blonde hair and blue eyes. At the time of her disappearance, Cassie was believed to be wearing a hoodie and camouflage pants. She has several facial piercings, including her eyebrows, her ears, and her lips. She also has a belly button piercing and 2 tattoos on her upper chest that say Ruby and Bella. If you have any information about Cassie's whereabouts, the number to call will be down in the description below. And as always, I'll have my sources down in the description below. For this video, however, I did speak directly to people in the community and Cassie's family members, so keep that in mind. Thank you so much for watching this video and for keeping up with Cassie's case. If you want to keep up with other recent missing person cases or are interested in content like this, don't forget to subscribe before you go.